Time to talk some Texas football. The Longhorns versus the Aggies on the recruiting trail. We've got SMU making a recruiting surge, and we've got elite wide receivers to talk about.
Locked On presents The Portal, the daily podcast covering college football recruiting and everything NIL. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back into the Portal Podcast, where you get your daily recruiting, NIL, and transfer portal scoop. I'm your host, Brian Smith, longtime college football writer and recruiting analyst. Thank you for making the Portal Podcast your first listen each and every day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. This is a critical year for the Texas A&M Aggies as they try to close the gap with the Longhorns, and they're off to a great start in recruiting. We're going to talk about that battle at the beginning, and throughout the show, it's going to be a very important point, even when we're talking about the recruits at the wide receiver position. And then it's a loaded year, even by Texas standards for that. And we're going to talk about SMU. They got a bunch of commitments already. They're making inroads, taking kids away from programs you wouldn't think they would. And to help me break all of this down is my guy, Mr. Marc Henry. What's going on, Mark? How you doing, brother?
Man, what's going on, B? On the road, down at a showcase this weekend in the Houston area. So, you know how we do it. Try to keep it boots to the ground. You know what I'm saying? But it's one of those things where this wide receiver class, in DFW and around the state of Texas, is just loaded with talent. And you throw in the presence of Booby Feaster now, it just goes up another notch. But this 2026 class and 2027 class in the state of Texas is one of the best around the country. That 2027 class is coming along, but, you mentioned how SMU has some guys already committed. They got some guys that probably would go to bigger programs in other years in the past, but, the Ponies have kind of uploaded or lifted themselves into that upper echelon of college football when it comes to recruiting. You're able to play powerful football and still stay in the state of Texas. And then, they really are circling wagons of really trying to keep those guys into DFW. The talent in the DFW area is trying to stay home. They want to be Dallas's team, which SMU is, it's kind of stealing some thunder from the Cowboys a little bit, with this.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, as far as the city getting behind them, the Cowboys have kind of struggled, as a team the last few years. And now SMU with the playoff run, asserting themselves to the ACC championship, they got some stake, in this college football thing now. So, getting those guys on campus, I had a chance to see the team in the spring and getting these guys on campus. When they have visits, they have a big thing, a big party, almost like a party atmosphere when it comes to getting these recruits on campus.
That's pretty awesome. Well, let's start off with this, man. Right now, Texas got 8 commitments. They're starting to pick up a little bit. The Aggies are sitting at 11, and their recruiting class is unusual. They got Victor Singleton from Toledo Catholic.
Right.
They got Aaron Gregory from Douglas County High School, and they got, it's Jordan Carter from Douglas County, and they're in Georgia. But they're starting to get some momentum with the visits and everything they got lined up. Is A&M starting to get to the point now they're going to make a run at Texas on the in-state kids? Because they really don't have many in-state guys, and it's surprising, but they got a really good class. It's very unusual.
Well, I think it's one of those things now that Texas is in the SEC. The only thing that A&M could hold over Texas's head before is they weren't in the SEC. They could sell recruits for playing big-time football and being close to home and playing for championships, which A&M hasn't really sniffed per se. But I've seen guys to the league, the last couple of years. But now that Coach Sark and Texas have, been in the national championship race, been ranked in the top 10 consistently the last 2 to 3 years, they have a foothold in the state of Texas when it comes to getting these guys, on the field early, as well as putting guys in the league. Development is the key when you come to getting these guys where they want to be. If they can see that, with the Xavier Worthies and guys that are going on to be first-round draft picks, you have a chance to play with a quarterback like Arch Manning now. The tide is turning, so to speak. And that's the thing that they're selling to these recruits. Stay home, play for national championships, play in the SEC, and definitely get to the next level when it comes to NFL.
Yeah, I think that Texas, they're trending in the best direction of any program in the country. Somebody said, Brian, over the next 5 years, starting with this season, who's going to have the most success? I would probably pick the Longhorns. The
Absolutely.
recruiting is consistent. And when they do have a hole, like, I don't know how many it was either 5 or 6, they went and got a whole bunch of D tackles.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're not playing around with the money aspect.
Absolutely.
And obviously Sark knows quarterbacks. So having Arch and some of these guys coming up, they should be a top 5 program pretty much every year. I could be wrong, but I doubt it.
Absolutely. Well, we talked about a little bit off camera, the visits coming up here in the first part of June. The camp circuit is going to start as well, June 1st. So it's going to be open season to get these guys on campus, to get these guys rooted and put them in a position to, hey, we want you on campus. We want you here. We got everything that you need when it comes to being a top flight program, when it comes to being visible on a national level. When you look at branding, Texas is one of those brands that sells around the country, not just in Austin. You sell those type of things, and hey, they got a primetime game most every Saturday night. And then the city of Austin treats these guys. They treat the University of Texas like a professional team when it comes to the fandom. So all of those things wrapped in one. You got the facilities. You got the Saturday night playing in Austin in the SEC environment, playing SEC football. You just can't go wrong with that. But going back to A&M's recruiting class, I think the big thing that they did was they got one of the top running backs in the country, in Jonathan Hatton, out of Cibolo Steel. He was committed to Oklahoma, a 4-star recruit who I think probably should have his 5th star pretty soon. Is a guy that they got in the stable ready to go. He should be a guy that gets on the field early when it comes to playing for A&M. You mentioned the recruiting class in state, Michael Brown from Legacy Springs. Spring Legacy Science in Houston, who is a target for Keyshawn Henderson, is one of the top playmakers in that area as well. So keeping him close to home was a big sell. But Texas A&M has been falling on hard times when it comes to winning the big games. This was their second year with this staff going into the third. So I think A&M will make some strides, but when it comes to those recruiting battles now, I think Texas is really just kind of taking over as far as the head-to-head battle.
Yeah, I think it's really important. Like Felix Ojo, John Turntine, Jamarian Carlton, KJ Edwards, Jalen Watt, some of these kids towards the top of the board, like on the Rivals recruiting rankings,
right,
in the state of Texas. A&M's got to win at least half of those.
Right.
And I don't, these kids are all going to take visits. Hardly anybody's committed in the top echelon players for the state of Texas.
Right.
Do you think A&M's going to get a good share of that, or are they going to be a little behind?
I think they're going to be a little behind when it comes to that. You mentioned Felix Ojo and John Turntine III. Those are heavy recruits that they are really, really on. Kyle Flood's been in and out of DFW recently, seeing both of those guys. Turntine's been down there multiple times, so has Ojo. I think those are 2 cornerstone pieces when you talk about offensive line play for the Texas Longhorns. And then you mentioned Jalen Lott. He's another guy that can play on both sides of the football. An explosive playmaker with the football in his hands. He's got that length and those great feet and hips to play the defensive back position. Just an all-around natural athlete. Had a chance to see him early on in his freshman and sophomore year. This is a playmaker. It's the reason Michigan, Ohio State, Miami, any offer in the country, any school in the country, you can find it on his list. But Texas has made a big push. He was down there. He's a track athlete as well. He was down at the state championships and had a chance to get over to campus. He'll be taking an official visit. Colorado's jumped in for him as well. So he's also a legacy. His dad played there as well. So, I think that Lott is one of those guys that's at the upper echelon of being a guy in the 2026 class around the country, not just in the state of Texas. But the Longhorns are really, really making a push for Lott as well.
Texas, I think, will end up with the top 5 class, and I'm not exactly going out on a limb there. When we come back, a little more Texas A&M, but we're also going to talk about the Mustangs. They got 13 commitments. That's pretty impressive so far. And to be honest with you, I don't think they're slowing down anytime soon. When we come back, we're going to talk about both those things here on the Portal Podcast. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and taking control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. It's easy to collaborate with your partner as well. Instead of keeping all your capital in different places, you can track your personal accounts, set goals, and more under Monarch Money without all the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. Mr. Marc Henry, let's finish up the A&M Texas thing here on something that I just think everybody that follows that rivalry, myself included, is always fascinated with. When you have an upset actually on the field, it makes a big difference. A&M played like garbage on offense last year when they played Texas. Now, Texas defense is legit, but y'all didn't score on your home field. Do you think there's any chance that A&M could knock off Texas this year? Is that probably a pipe dream because A, it's in Austin, and I think Texas has the better roster. Is that probably just kind of outside the box? They didn't need every break possible.
Yeah, I think they have to come in with some major momentum. I think Texas is surging, probably going to be a top 10 team for sure. With the Longhorns, I think the emergence of Arch Manning is going to be the key offensively, and I think Colin Sims is going to be probably a first-team All-American. He's really, really, he was a freshman All-American as well, but I think he's going to take that next step. You got Hill Jr. as well at the linebacker position, which I think they'll move him around a little bit more to kind of get him some matchups when it comes to rushing the passer. Malik Muhammad's going to be a first-round pick at the defensive back position. And then you got those plethora of receivers that are coming back as well. The offensive line is going to be solid. I think that Texas is just, 2 steps ahead of A&M when it comes to everything that they have to put on the field right now. I think, Coach Sarkisian and his staff have been recruiting the state of Texas very well and around the country. They're dipping into Florida. They're dipping into Georgia. You got commits and guys coming from the state of California now. That wasn't something that you saw very much, when it comes, if you go back to the Mac Brown era. We were very, very entrenched on being in the state of Texas. Now they got reach and tentacles into Alabama, Florida, Georgia, some SEC country, and seeing some of these guys that are flipping and want to come to play in Austin. So, A&M's probably a step behind when it comes to the recruiting battles. We talked about that already. But, I think it's just one of those things where A&M right now is just 2 steps behind when it comes to Texas. Now, that could change in months down the line when, we get on the field. But, everything on paper looks that Texas has the edge.
That's kind of where I'm at. I think they need something like that to jumpstart the recruiting, and that's why I bring it up. That I don't know. I'm real sold on the quarterback situation in Aggie land right now. I need to see that work out. And if it doesn't, I know Arch is going to be good. I think that's about as safe a bet as we're going to get. Legacy kind of player that he is, and he's being coached by Sarkisian. Let's turn over to SMU. They made the playoff, and obviously that's caught the attention of everybody. It's a great story. The quarterback's coming back. Rhett Lashlee's got it going, but they got 13 guys committed. They're getting a lot of in-state kids like Alger Miles from Kaufman. They got Ja'Kai Anderson from down in New Orleans. They flipped him from LSU. I talked to him last weekend. He's a guy that I think can come in and play. He really likes the SMU staff. You got Christian Rhodes from Lake Highlands there in the Dallas area, the running back. Big dude. He's got the frame to come in and play early. What is it that they're selling, and why is it so successful for the SMU Mustangs?
Well, I think the big thing, Brian, is they want to get these guys staying home in the DFW area. You've had a chance to come and watch guys and be around the talent that's in the DFW. That I-20 corridor, you could set up shop, and build a team there. When you come to the South Oak Cliffs, the DeSotos, the Dunkervilles, Red Oak, you can include Waxahachie in that, Cedar Hill, Lancaster. Just in that particular area, you can throw a rock and get Division I talent. I think that this staff understands that. They make a big point of circling the wagons. Well, they're trying to keep the Texases and the Texas A&Ms out of the Metroplex. They have to compete with TCU locally, but they've beaten TCU recently, so they got the upper hand when it comes to that rivalry. This staff knows that they want to keep this talent homegrown, and they can play Division I power football and play for national championships. Before it was the smaller conferences. They were, a powerhouse in the AAC. They won that conference. They were competing, but they just couldn't get over the hump and being recognized nationally. Now you're talking about the commits they have. They're ranked number 15 in the nation with the 2026 class that they have. You mentioned, four-star recruit Olajuwon Miles, the second out of Kaufman, 6'2", almost 200 pounds. Right now in high school, just think when he gets, on campus on the hilltop, putting 10, 15 pounds on that frame, he's going to really, really start to fill his frame out. And Ja'Kai Anderson is just a guy. You know what I mean? He could come in and play on the outside, the slot. Getting him out of New Orleans, Louisiana, and getting him past LSU is a big, big time flip for those guys. And then you got to look at Braylon Edwards on the defensive side from Duncanville. When you talk about Duncanville, it's recognized for defense, and defensive backs have been a cornerstone for those guys. Braylon Edwards is a guy. We're talking about a guy that's almost 6 foot, 180 pounds. He can play corner. He can play safety. He can play nickel. He's a hat bringer when it comes to, that third type of tackling that you want from a safety. And Markel Ford was a big, big commitment coming out of the Mesquite area, 6 foot, 185 pound safety. You got two guys at the safety position that can come in and play for you and be all conference players down the line in the next couple of years. Ryan Gilbert, also DB from the Mesquite, North Forney area as well. So, and then listen, they went to Cali and got Cole Leinert. If that Leinert name
I
sounds
know.
familiar, hey,
That's
you
his
you know
daddy.
that's his dad from USC, the former quarterback Matt Leinert. So we're talking about some heavyweight recruiting that's been going on, and then you can always come to Houston with Montre Harris from Summer Creek High School, who's been a pledge for those guys 6'4", 220. So SMU has done their homework. That staff does their homework. But Brian, in recruiting now, recruiting departments pay dividends now. They have one of the best recruiting departments that you'll see. When you go on the campus and you see these recruits, they really make a real big emphasis on really making these guys at home, especially these guys in DFW. They make sure that they get up there. This spring, I had a chance to, go around there and watch practice and things like that. They make sure these guys in DFW come and attend practice. So you got to hand it to the staff, and that starts at the top with Rhett Lashlee.
I think they've done a great job in an incredibly small amount of time. 3 years from now, maybe SMU makes this a 3-team race in the state. That would, like, if you'd have told me that's a year ago, I'd have said, man, drugs are bad. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not going to happen. But what they did last year, like the quarterback there, I didn't even know who he was. He was legit,
Kevin Henry Jennings was the first quarterback when they won. He was the quarterback when they won the first state championship.
Oh, at Dunk, right?
No, at South Oak Cliff.
Oh, he was at South Oak Cliff. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. His first offer was Missouri State, and then he took him on that run, and SMU came right at the end of that state championship run. He committed.
That's cool.
Then, and he's taken that team to the next level. He's athletic, a guy that can really spin. He looked really, really good this offseason in the spring. Had a chance to go up there for a couple of practices as well. Jalen Cooper from Cibolo Steele High School, the big-time receiver, looked very, very comfortable. I think when he gets into the offseason and puts some more weight on his frame, he's going to be a guy that's going to play early as well. He looked really, really good for those guys offensively. And Ty Hawkins, he was at IMG Academy. He's originally from San Antonio, was taking the snaps at the number 2. So 2 freshmen that you'll see probably in the Ponies lineup this year that'll have a chance to be contributors. They got a lot of reps with the first and second team. Well, Cooper with the first team, and then Ty Hawkins taking the second team reps at the quarterback position behind Kevin Jennings.
That's impressive, man. That's really impressive. When we come back, there's one more subject I want to talk about. It is insane how many wide receivers, even by the state of Texas and their standards. Mark and I were talking about it off air. It is really incredible. That is next here on the Portal Podcast. Mark, we got receivers everywhere, brother. I mean, they are absolutely everywhere. Booby Feaster, as we talked about earlier, has changed from the 27 to the 26 class. He's a DeSoto kid. He's rocked up. He's a really advanced young man. But I mean, the list, like for y'all, like you work with Rivals. I was going through the list, like Braden Robinson is in the 40s, I believe, for the state of Texas by Rivals. And he's a dude, like Ohio State offered him, Miami offered him, Notre Dame offered him. He's got offers all over the country.
Right.
And he's like the number 10 receiver in the state by like, it is insane. Is this an even better year, in your opinion, for receivers within the Lone Star State?
I think so. I mean, you got to start with Brock Boyd at South Lake Carroll High School, committed to Ohio State recently. He was a TCU commit for a couple of years, but now he's really taking that next step. Long, lean, athletic guy who can get deep, but he works the middle of the field like a veteran. He was a big reason that South Lake went to the state championship. They came up short, but they went. Jaden Warren from Iowa Colony is a guy. We talk
Yes,
about
he
a
is.
team that their only two losses was to Randall. You know about that team. But he was a guy that was real pivotal for those guys, and he's coming back. We talked about Caden Finley from Alito High School, one of the top receivers, definitely in the class 2026. Texas has been high on him. He's a legacy with his dad, Jermichael Finley. But I think that they're really making a play for Finley. He's a guy that definitely, I mean, some of the best hands, Brian, that you'll see in the state of Texas, about 6'1", 6'2", just really, really attacks it at the catch point. You got Zion Robinson at Mansfield High School, who's a bigger receiver at 6'4", but's a track guy as well, can get down the field, high points it in red zone threat. Jordan Clay down at San Antonio Madison High School's really
Love
taken
him.
off in the last couple of years. He's a big-time receiver. In the state of Texas, San Antonio doesn't get a lot of love, but Clay has made people go to San Antonio to see him play on a regular basis. Cohen Brown from Waxahachie High School is a
Yes,
recent
sir.
commit to USC. He decommitted. But this guy is next level talent. When you talk about speed and elusiveness and just that extra gear when he gets to the second level, he really, really, really broke out his junior year, over 1,000 yards, 11 touchdowns. But that speed, it's represented on the track. He ran 10.6 this year as well. He made it to the regionals in the state of Texas, coming out of the same district with Duncanville runners, Cedar Hill, Lancaster. That whole district is loaded with speed. And Brown was one of the best sprinters in that particular district this year. But his frame has changed. I had a chance to see him as a sophomore really start to take off. But his junior year and to now, you really see the frame start to develop. And that's the reason USC was high on this guy. They really, really wanted this guy on campus. And they're still in the mix as well. But Notre Dame's jumped in there as well. Texas has recently jumped in there for Brown. So he's probably one of the fastest rising receivers in the state of Texas this offseason. We mentioned Chris Stewart from Shadow Creek, who is a Texas commit. We're talking about a guy that can go up and get it. Just a fabulous athlete, can return kicks. He's one of those guys that definitely has a chance to come in and see some early playing time down on the 40 acres if he gets a chance to play. But, I mean, it's loaded. I mean, we didn't even mention, Jalen Powell, who's a Michigan commit.
That's
We're
right.
talking about a guy that's got great hands. His route running is so smooth and clean. He can go up and high point the football. He even lined up at defensive back for his team last year. And now he's just going to focus on the offensive side. Michigan said, hey, we want you to focus on offense. This is a guy that can go up and play, in the big house on day one. He's a smooth route runner. Just everything he does is so polished, great hands. He's got the speed to get to the second level and break out. But Jalen Powell's one of those names I don't think you hear about nationally, but you definitely in the DFW area. You're not on the field on Friday nights, and you don't see or hear something about Jalen Powell.
They have so many guys, man. It's an incredible list. Brock Boyd, the kid that committed to Ohio State, South Lake Carroll, like they've had kids forever. Obviously, quarterback, that's a whole
Absolutely.
nother animal. But that just shows you how deep it is. Because like Rivals has him as number 50 player in the state of Texas. I'll take Ohio State's opinion above anybody else's. But
Right.
like if he's a good route runner and coming from that system, he's probably going to be able to come in and compete for playing time by a sophomore, even at Ohio State. And that's not even like the top receiver in the state of Texas. So
Absolutely.
it's it's just really crazy. So I'm trying to go through and I'm doing my own recruiting list for the Portal Podcast. I was just like in the state of Texas for a long time, just looking at the receiver. Like there's so many trying to pick them. It's crazy. And the slot receivers are really good too. So
Absolutely.
yeah, Bishop and some of the guys they got, man, you guys can produce some serious talent at wide receiver. Before we wrap up, anything else you want to add? Anybody else? Any recruiting news from around the Lone Star State in any way, shape, or form?
Man, I think we hit everything in the head, when it comes to the state of Texas as far as these guys that, you're going to see some of these commitments after these official visits start to, some of
Yes,
these guys
sir.
are going to come off the board. The thing about recruiting now is you have to go ahead and make a commitment or, get your spot now because the transfer portal affects everything. Now that these guys have a chance to get on campus, get these OVs out of the way, they got some decisions to make. And you'll see a lot of these top 26 guys start to come off the board before the season starts. And it's the richer they're getting richer. The upper echelon of talent just in the state of Texas, is nationally known. That's why you see the Ohio States, the Michigans, the Notre Dames, even Georgia, with Jalen Lott. He's been to Georgia. You know what I mean? So they know that when you can come to the state of Texas on a Friday night and just go and just you can actually go to 4 or 5 games and just find somebody that has next level Power 4 type talent. It's going to be a difference maker early. So that's the reason the state of Texas is recruited so heavily. But the Texas A&Ms, the Texases, and now SMU is throwing their hat. They're a top 15 team when it comes to recruiting. I wouldn't sleep on TCU probably making some late runs. Baylor's got some guys that are going to be coming out here. Yeah, I mean the rich are getting richer, But Brian, everybody talks about NIL, but I think that's not the case for everything. It plays a part, but getting on the field early matters. You have
Yes.
to come in from high school to college ready. You can't. The days of the red shirt, the rosters have been cut. You have to come in polished and ready to play. They don't have time to wait for you to get ready with a red shirt, and that's the advantage that these guys have now in high school athletics. Is they got guys. I was at a workout Saturday up at Lake Highlands High School, and then I went somewhere Sunday at Salina. The Metroplex has, and in Houston as well, but the Metroplex has everything that you need when it comes to the training aspect outside of what you do at your school. They have that right there in the Metroplex. This is why these guys are getting recruited so heavily. And I think, when you go to East Texas, it's probably a little bit more about the athleticism and they just get it out of the mud a little bit. West Texas is not known for as much recruiting, but it's starting to come. El Paso, you got Fetty in the Elite 11.
Oh yeah, Jake
You know what I'm
Fetty's
saying? So,
legit.
I mean, it's starting to catch up. But, when you look at the plethora of athletes around the state of Texas, San Antonio's coming, Austin's coming. You had Raheem Riley down in the Austin area that just recently committed to Texas, the DB, who I think is going to see the field early as well. And it's just what these guys know when they come to Texas, you're going to get a polished athlete and a guy that's ready to play early.
I agree. Mark, tell everybody where they can find your work.
Absolutely, man. You can find me definitely on Twitter at Markin44, on the Mark Sports, on the marksports.com, SMU Rivals as well, hornsports.com, and also the platform, and also Prep Redzone Texas.
Man, you're all over the place. Appreciate you, brother. You can find me anywhere you get your podcasts here on the Locked On Podcast Network, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and everywhere else. We will see you again soon here on the Portal Podcast.